What's good, guys? We've got another full card prediction coming your way. This time it's Holm taking on Bueno Silva. Honestly, a really weak card, really weak main event. Can't even lie about it. We're just going to get straight into it, honestly, because I'm not really a fan of this card. And coming off of the last 3 cards we had where we got spoiled, it's really, really tough having like 1 or 2 matchups to look forward to on an entire card. But, you know, whatever. We're on a 4-fight main event win streak right now. 64% win rate. 13-10 in main event picks overall. 279 UFC fights. I got 175 wins. So I'm not doing too bad this year. Could be doing better. Could be doing a lot worse, though, as well. So I'm not going to really hate on myself too much for it. Moving on into the first fight of the night, we've got Ashley Evans-Smith taking on versus Aylin Perez. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This speaks for, honestly, most matchups on the entire card. Not much of a real thought process going into any of these picks, to be honest. A lot of these fighters are either debuting or fresh in the octagon, or honestly fresh out of their pro careers in the first place. And I just don't feel like there's much that goes into these fights. I'm going to be picking Aylin Perez simply because she has less ways to lose, and I've seen her win more frequently. Let's move on to the next fight. Alex Munoz taking on Carl Deaton. This is the fight I'm looking forward to the least on the whole card, because I'm picking Carl Deaton simply because he's a little bit better on the feet. Horrible on the ground, and Alex Munoz is decent on the ground. So I could see this being a grappling fest. I could see Alex Munoz trying to ground him out and sub him or something similar to what Joe Solecki did to Carl Deaton. But I'm going to trust that Carl Deaton can pick his shots on the feet and land the right ones and possibly hurt Munoz and win a really boring split decision where he's probably going to be getting taken down, rinse and repeat every round. Moving on up the card, Tyson Nam taking on Maxim. This is an undefeated prospect at flyweight, and I'm always looking forward to undefeated prospect flyweights. Honestly, even if they're not undefeated, just a flyweight prospect. This guy's good. Now, the problem is that he's a striker primarily, and Tyson Nam has bombs for flyweight. Regardless of how old he is, regardless of his ups and downs in the octagon, Tyson Nam throws bombs, and that makes me a little bit nervous for this fight. But overall, if you watch Maxim fight, you'd have to pick him skill for skill. Like 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, I'm sure he demolishes Tyson Nam, especially because of the age difference. But there is always that one shot, so you never know. I'm going though. Next up the card, Evan Elder taking on Gennaro Valdez. This is difficult because Evan Elder is coming off of 2 losses, but he trains at a way better team with killers, and he did also just come off of fighting some killers himself. While we're taking Gennaro Valdez, who is debuting in the UFC, and he's a tough motherfucker, but we just haven't seen the same level of skill or output from him as we have from Elder. Now, I'm still going to be picking Gennaro Valdez because it's hard for me to trust somebody coming off of 2 losses, regardless of where they train, and I'm going to be going by a knockout. Next up the card, Lingo taking on Melky Costa. I'm sure we all remember Melky debuting against Thiago Moises and just getting obliterated, but showing some good things here and there, so his stock rose regardless. Now, Lingo is like damn near 40, and he's a little bit better on the striking department, but I'm not trusting somebody that's that old in this weight class to take out somebody who's like, 26 in Melky Costa and has a lot of time to improve. And Melky already has 25 pro bouts to his name. So I got to go Melky by a rear naked sub. Moving on up the card, Victoria Duekov taking on Estella Nunes. Another coin flip of a fucking pick, to be honest. Like majority of these women's MMA bouts I've been trying to pick these last fucking months, and I've been doing terrible. It leaves me to not want to put any thought process into this, not put any research, even though I already have looked these girls up. Long story short, I'm going Victoria Duekov just because she's undefeated, and it's as simple as that. Like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Moving on, Tucker Lutz taking on Melky Bagdasaryan for the prelim headliner. This is a good fight, honestly. This is one of the fights. This is probably the first fight on the entire card so far that I'm actually looking forward to a little bit, just because Melky Bagdasaryan is such a mean motherfucker. He reminds me of like a bigger Petr Yan. Tucker Lutz is tough. He's built awkward, and he has a surprisingly good chin and gas tank. But I think that Melky Bagdasaryan is just way better on the feet and way quicker, way more technical, and he's going to find his shots and probably knock out Tucker Lutz with a knee to the body really early on. I'd say in like the first round. It'd be really difficult for this fight to make it out of the first round if it stays on the feet. If Tucker uses his grappling, maybe he can go to decision. Moving on, first fight of the main card, Nazim Saadov taking on Terence McKinney. This is a good fight, another fight that I'm actually looking forward to. Terence is coming off of his loss to Ismail Bonfim, who we just saw get exposed by Benoit Saint-Denis like 2 weeks ago. And Nazim Saadov is damn near undefeated, but we've also seen him like in his fight against Evan Elder, get dropped bad and hurt and damn near put away. I feel like if Terence McKinney lands on you, it's bad. You're not going to be able to just survive and then come back and put a pace on him. Now, if Terence McKinney doesn't stay technical and composed like he did in his last fight, where he just lost composure the second it didn't go his way, this could be bad, and I could see Terence McKinney getting finished. But overall, I feel like he's better on the feet, better grappler. He's not better when it comes to composition, but he's way better at chasing a finish. So I'm going to go with Terence McKinney. I feel like he can get this one done by a knockout. Next up, Norma Dumont taking on Chelsea Chandler. I'm going with Norma Dumont. She's way more tested. I picked her in her last fight. She got it done. That's already just enough for me to want to lean towards her. And not to mention, Chelsea Chandler is just kind of mid. Like, I know that that's usually what it sums up to for a lot of these picks. And I'm sorry if you watching want me to give a little bit more detail into these, but there's really not much I can do with these fights. Moving on up the card, Albert Duraev taking on Park Yoon. This is a good fight. This is a really good fight. Another one that I'm looking forward to. They're both at similar points in their careers. A little bit of ups and downs in the octagon, and their records are very similar. I take this fight as the matchmaker saying, hey, whoever can make it out of this one, we'll try to push. We'll try to continue you down the line. And whoever else doesn't, well, you're going to be fighting the people coming up now. I feel like the person that's going to be losing this one is probably Park Yoon. I just don't think he's as good as Duraev on the ground. Their striking is about even, but I feel like Duraev is a lot more aggro on the ground, and he has a little bit more things that he can do. So I'm going to be picking Albert Duraev by a decision. I think it's going to be a really grindy fight. It's hard for me to see Park Yoon getting finished unless he just gets caught flush with a strike that he doesn't see, because this man is a little fucking Ninja Turtle. He's a tank of a man. Moving on to the feature fight of the night, Ottman and Zaitar taking on Francisco Prado. See, honestly, they really left all the good fights for the main card, and I kind of don't mind that, because a lot of the time they'll like scatter them out, and you get some really trash ones on the main card that affect the flow of it. This one, no flow fuck-ups until the main event, honestly. Feature fight though, Ottman and Zaitar, we all know him trying to sneak potatoes, apparently, into fucking Fight Island way back. Got kicked out of the UFC, then he came back, finally fought again, like, was it either last year or like earlier this year, and got fucking flatlined by Matt Frivola. So now he's coming back against Francisco Prado, who just lost his undefeated record to Jamie Malarkey, but it was a really good fight. He took it on short notice, and he lasted the whole fight. It didn't get melted down like most of Malarkey's opponents do, and that makes me want to trust Francisco Prado. He's also just a little bit younger, and I felt like his confidence wasn't fully riding on the fact that he was undefeated, like Ottman and Zaitar, who would just come out and try to swing and bang until he would knock everyone out because he was used to it. So I'm going Prado. Moving on up the card, co-main event, JDM taking on Basil Hafez. I'm glad that Jack Della Maddalena finally got his fight. It would have sucked if he had to come all the way out here to the States and fly back home empty-handed, no money, no fight, no nothing. We get to watch Jack Della fight tonight, and I'm hyped for that. The person he's fighting to, not like a complete can, but definitely not to the level of Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, we've seen Jack he's proven himself to be top 10 at welterweight, very least, and he melts everybody he fights, so he could be even higher level than that. And judging by the team that he trains with, I wouldn't be surprised. They all are very high on him. If Alexander Volkanovski, the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world, is highly praising you, I'm going to be highly praising you too. Now, I feel like on the feet, I feel like this fight is only going to take place on the feet. Sorry for the brain spasm there. And I feel like that's just a horrible recipe for disaster for Basil. Like, if you can't mix it up and take him to the ground and maybe like force some chokes or chase some chokes, it's bad for him. So I'm going JDM. Now for the main event of the night, Holm taking on Mayra Bueno Silva. I was going to lean towards Mayra Bueno Silva. Mayra Bueno Silva. I'm just going to call her fucking Silva. I was going to lean towards Silva, but seeing as Holly is keeping it active, she trains with John Jones, of course, great team. She's looking fit. She demolished Yana Santos, and even though that's a horrible fighter, at least she's active, and she's coming back a couple months later for this main event. So I'm going to trust Holly Holm, and I mean, now that Amanda Nunes isn't the bantamweight champion, I wouldn't mind seeing Holly Holm come back and reclaim that. I think that's a big part of why she's in a main event tonight, rather than being just like the feature fight or some shit. Overall, though, I'm going Holly Holm by decision. If you guys liked my predictions today, give me a sub, give me a like. I'm sorry that this isn't like the most in-depth one, but this card just kind of sucks, so it is what it is. I'll catch y'all.